standard price. So we start with material F. Material F. So material F, if you look at the card up there, you realize that we were supposed to use how many kilos for F? 15. So unachukua hiyo 15 multiplied by the number of units that were produced, which are 4,100. 4,100. Then you minus the actual. Ukienda hapo chini, utaona the actual quantity of F. Ilikuwa ngapi? 10? 59,800. And the starting price of material F is 4. So multiply and give me the answer. Hmm? 6,800. Favorable or adverse? Positive or negative? Positive. So angalia hapa, what I was telling you in the morning. We are comparing quantities. We are comparing quantities. So kama hii answer unasema ni negative or positive? Kama ni positive, kumaanisha actual quantity ni kubwa kuliko the standard. Sorry. Unasema positive, yeah? So kama ni positive, kumaanisha actual quantity ni ndogo. So if you end up using fewer units and still achieve your purpose, is that good? Yeah, so that is favorable. The next one is G. G, the ukiangalia hapo juu, 1 unit was supposed to use how many kilos? 12. So 12 multiplied by 4,100, you minus the actual. The actual ilikuwa huko chini 53,500. And the starting price is 3 bob. So that gives us how much? 12,900. Favorable or adverse? Adverse. Then do the same for H. Haya, Umepata ngapi hapa? Ya H 3,000. Favorable or adverse? Adverse. Total 9,100. Advance, eh? Haya. Haya, hiyo ingine inaitwa mix. Oh, before we move out of this, Maria. Naona hii ni 91. Huyo mwingine alikuwa anaitwa nani? The price. Toto yake ilikuwa add the two of them. Inakubaliana na ile toto tulikuwa tumepata huko juu. Yes. Ukiangalia hiyo ka structure tulichora, total is divided into those two, price na usage. So that means ukichukua hii usage kuongezea kwa price, they should take you back to the total. Sasa zile zingine tunaenda compute. Tunaona usage ndio imegawanywa into two, mix na yield. So once we compute them, they should add back to this one. So tuende kwa mix. So mix utaandika equals revised mix minus actual mix, you multiply by standard price. You multiply by standard price. Revised mix minus actual mix multiplied by standard price. So sasa, when we talk about mix, we are talking of the proportions. We are talking of the proportions. And proportions have to do with, like, tuseme unapika kitu kama chai. Kuna maji, unaweka maji, unaweka maziwa, unaweka tea leaves, and then sugar. So what proportions you put? So tuanze na F. F was bringing 15 kilos in a total of, if we add the three of them, 35. So F was supposed to bring 15 in a total of 35. Now multiply this by the actual kilos. Ile ulikuwa umepata hapo chini ilikuwa 146, 600. So that tells you how many kilos should have come from F. You minus how many did we get from F? It was 59. 800. 59,800. And the third price is 4. And the third price is 4. It's 29. Is it favorable or adverse? 114.29. 114.29. Favorable or adverse? Positive or negative? Ni positive. So kama ni positive ni kumaanisha the actual ni kidogo. So kama umeweka kidogo and still get your purpose, that is good. So that is favorable. Haya, tuende kwa G. G was supposed to bring how many huko juu? 12 in a total of 35 times 146, 600. Minus, ilileta ngapi? 53, 500. At a standard price of 3. At a standard price of 3. Hmm? 87. 97. 11. 43. Favorable or adverse? Negative, eh? Okay. Tuende kwa H. H was supposed to bring what? 8 in a total of 35 times 146, 600. And it brought what? That 300. At a starting price of 6. Huh? 1251. 43. Favorable or adverse? Favorable. So combine them. That's 86. That's 6. 84 points. 54. Oh, this 54. Now your mission point 29. Favorable or adverse? 36, 54. 36, 54.29. Haya, tuende kwa huyu mwingine anaitwa yield. So yield is given as a standard yield. Standard yield minus actual yield. Actual yield you multiply by standard material cost. Standard material costs per unit. Standard material cost per unit. Yield is standard yield minus actual yield. So when we are talking about yields, we are talking of for everyone in 1 unit of input, how many units of output did we get? So to answer that question, you start by how many units you got. If you look at the wordings of the question, saying hapo kwa standard card. Hebu soma kwa sauti hiyo statement before the standard card. Nasema nini? The following data. Is it the following data or whatever? The following information, the following information relates to the product, standard cost per unit. So it relates to how many units? One. So we got 1 unit. Now this 1 unit, we got it after Tuliweka how many kilos? 35. Good. So if you divide 1 by 35, it answers the question of, for every 1 kilo Tuliweka, how many kilos did you get out? Or how many units did you get out? And this is a case like when you are cooking something like spinach. I believe all of us, we have some exposure in basic cooking. Yeah, basic cooking. So ukiweka spinach inaanza ikiwa mingi inapungua. Yes. Na ukianza na mchele ya pishori kadogo zikanajaa sufuria. Those are the things that you're saying. Na maji sinabaki more or less the same. Kama ni chai. Maji, not unless you allow it to boil so much to evaporate, the quantity remains. So now, if this is what you are supposed to get, or you now multiply by the actual kilos in the Tuliweka done, 146,600. You compare with what we got out. We got out 4,100. That is what we got out. And then standard material cost per unit, neither to what tumepata asubuhi, it was it 44 and 44? Imeandikwa hata hapo kwa mass paper. Total cost ya hiyo standard cash 144. 144. $12,000. 754.29. Favorable advance. Positive, eh? I'm laughing because now you are falling into the trap. You come here. That is advance. It is advance. Although mathematically it is positive. Now look here. We are comparing what? Yields. Mavuno, mageta. Those who speak in Greek. Yes. Mavuno, eh? Standard, it is what you are expecting. Actual is what you finally get. So if, for example, we had planted some maize in the farm. Now ulikuwa unatarajia kupata 10 gunias. Alafu ukienda kuvuna upate gunia 6. Do you go home celebrating? No. Yes. So sasa, now that this is mathematically positive, ni kumaanisha the actual ni kidogo. Sindio? The actual ni kidogo. And you can even confirm. Ni kidogo kuliko the standard. So we got a smaller harvest. When you get a smaller harvest, you go home crying. Don't go home rejoicing. Yeah, so that's why it's advanced. Again, now you can see what I was telling you. You see now, these ones have the same sign. These the positive, neighbor be positive. See there? But the interpretations are advanced. And now I want you to add. When you come to add, you see now this is positive and this is positive. How does 7 is 15? 3, 3, 9, 12. It's not 15, it is now a case of setting off. So add this to this. Uniambia kama tarudi kwa 100. Does it agree? Yes. Sasa hiyo 9100 ile tulikuwa nayo huko juu kwa usage. It is advanced. Sio? Alafu sasa hiyo 9100 it was mathematically negative. But sasa hii tunasema inakubaliana it is mathematically positive. So the mathematical side is not a guide. It is a very weak guide. In many cases, it will not deliver what you expect. But any question? Kalau ni nomor 4. Hold on. See, I told you I am the driver. You operate under my masses, eh? Yeah. So now, on your own, I would like you to attempt May 2015. May 2015, question 2B. May 2015, question 2B. May 2015, question 2B. So hiyo swali ukifika hapo kwa May 2015, you just handle it the same way tumehandle ya material, the same. But sasa andika direct labor cost variances. Direct labor cost variances. Direct labor costs. Make sure you do those things. I'll just remember your colleagues last semester. Unaswali hapo niliwapea. Tukafanya kama hiyo kwa bed, then fanya ina wakufanya. So after the exam unakuja kuniambia mwalimu aishi kuifanya kwa class. So how do you answer that? And it's very similar. By the way, hiyo swali hata hawakubadilisha figures. Very similar. Hawakubadilisha figures. I think sasa yeye alikuwa tu anakumbuka nikisema go and do that. Ushaandika direct labor cost variances. Aya, let's start with the structure. Structure starts with total. Structure starts with total. Total is divided into 2. We have rates, efficiency, then this is divided into 2. The teacher is feeling sleepy. What do you do? Yeah? Simame na mguu moja. Najua mtu akiwa mwanafunzi anafikirianga mwalimu haya. Masikio usingizi. So it's a struggle for all of us. So that is the structure for the direct materials cost variances. So tuanze na total. So total is standard labor costs. Standard labor costs minus actual labor costs. Actual labor costs. Standard labor costs minus actual labor costs. Sasa nataka urudi hapo juu kwa standard. The same question. The same question. Ukiwa hapo, you check in the standard card. There are two types of labor, P and Q. You can see the hours. You can see the cost to commission. Department P iko na cost ya 40. Hiyo ingine iko na cost ya 12 plus 40 is what? 12 plus 40 is 52. So kama wameandika 62 hapo type. Wewe unasema tu 62 sawa imeandikwa. So it is 52, the typing error. 52. So we come back here. I told you, anytime you see the word standard, the first thing to come to your head is per unit, for 1 unit. So labor for 1 unit is 52. Is 52 multiplied by the number of units, which are 4100. 4100. Minus kimbia huko juu uangalie huko chini. Chini kwa actual niambie total labor cost. I told you to add. What did you get when you add the two labor costs? 960. 268 960. $55,760. Mathematically negative, so it is advanced because kama ni negative kumaanisha actual ni kubwa. So when you spend more costs and you anticipated, that is bad news. Haya, tuende kwa rates. Rates is given as standard rates. Standard rates minus actual rates. Actual rates you multiply by actual hours. Standard rates minus actual rates you multiply by actual hours. Sasa niambie kwa department P huko juu 1 hour was expected to be paid for how much? 10 shillings. But tulipoteremka huko on the ground, it ended up being paid 10.6. And how many hours were actually paid for? The actual hours, 20,500. 20,500. 12,300. Favorable or adverse? Adverse. It is adverse not because it is negative, but because the actual rate is higher than the standard rate. Then Q, according to our standard, we were to pay 1 hour how much? 6 bob. But we ended up paying these guys how much? 5.6. And how many hours were involved? 92.25. 92.25. So you get the difference as how much? 36? 90 divided by. So you combine them. $96.10 advance. 86.10 advance. The next one, anaitwa efficiency. So efficiency is given as standard hours minus actual hours, you multiply by standard rate. Standard hours minus actual hours, and the difference you multiply by standard rate. So what you do now is in P, unarudi hapo juu, naona each unit should have brought or should have been given how many hours? According to department P. How many hours? C40. Huh? 64 hours. Kama hapo inaonyesha something different should be 4 hours. The hours, 40 times 10, eh? Here the costs. We are talking of hours. No. We are comparing hours. Yes. Comparing hours. So 4 hours minus, when you pick now per unit, lazima kwanza you multiply by the actual units. You also will make it a total. Then the actual hours were 20,500. 20,500. Standard rate is 10. Standard rate is 10. So that becomes what? 41,000. Favorable or advance? Advance. Advance. Higher. Q, 1 unit was supposed to take 2 hours. You multiply by 4,100 minus 92.25 at a standard rate of 6. At a standard rate of 6. $10.25. Advance. $61.50. $61.50. Advance or favorable? Advance. Now, when you combine them, this is $47,150. Advance. $47,150. And you can see, ukichukua these 8,000, uongezee hii, they should agree with this 55. 47,150 plus 8610. Sinakubali? Yes. That's how you can even mark these things for yourself in the exam. So the next inaitwa mix. Mix is revised mix. Revised mix minus actual mix. You multiply by standard rates. It is the revised mix, you minus the actual mix, you multiply by standard rate. Sasa in P, remember when you talk about the mix, we are talking of the proportions. So P was supposed to bring 4 hours in a total of 6. These 4 and 2. So it was supposed to bring 4 in a total of 6. Then the grand total, if you add these ones, is 29, 725. Minus what we actually got from P, 2,500 the hours at a standard rate of 10. At a standard rate of 10. Mm-hmm. 68, that 3.33, favorable advance. Then Q was supposed to bring 2 in a total of 6. 2 in a total of 6. So times 29, 725 minus 9225 times 6. For 100. Favorable or adverse? Favorable. Favorable. So when we combine them, you should get 2733.33A. Adverse. Haya, hiyo ingine inaitwa yield. And yield tumesema it is the standard yield. Standard yield. You minus actual yield. Actual yield. And the difference you multiply by standard labor costs per unit. Standard labor costs per unit. So as I've told you, when you are dealing with yields, we are asking and answering the question of, for every 1 unit of input, how many units do we get out? And as you saw in this question, we got 1 unit of product, XP. That's what we got out. Na hii ilipatikana after tulikuwa tumeweka 6 hours. So if you divide 1 out by 6, that tells you how many units you are able to get for every 1 hour. Now multiply this by the actual hours in tuliweka 29,725. you minus the actual. The actual yield is 4,100. 4,100. And the standard yield, the standard labor cost ilikuwa 52. The standard labor cost was 52. $44,416. 0.67 favorable advance. Positive or negative? It's positive, eh? So kama ni positive, you're the advance. Kumaanisha the actual yield is smaller than what you expected. Now you can see if you combine these 27, this means these 27, you added to these 44. It should take you back about coefficients. Chukua hii 27, ongeza hii 44. Unakubaliana? Yes. So for the assignment, utakopei tu hiyo swali nilikuwa nimekwambia hapo awali. Zinafanana tu. Hiyo ya 2015. The one I gave you for materials, 2015. It also has the same things. Sasa andika variable overhead costs, variances. Variable overhead costs, variances. Variable overhead costs, variances. So once again, we divide, we begin with the total. We begin with the total. So total is divided into expenditure, and efficiency. Expenditure and efficiency. Efficiency is divided into two areas again. We have idle and we have carried out. That is how you get it. So sasa below that, andika variable overhead variable overhead absorption rate. Absorption rate, VOAR. VOAR. Variable overhead absorption rate, VOAR, is given as budget variable overheads. You divide by budget labor hours. Budget labor hours. Budget labor hours. Hii nataka tutumie swali ya December 2014. Question 5. December 2014, question 5. Question 5, I don't need to figures. Thank you, that's good. So I want to use that question to illustrate the other variances. So already tushaandika hapa hivyo. And kwa hiyo swali tumesomewa budget data. Nataka uangalie kwa budget data. And you tell me variable overheads ni ngapi? The budget data. Variable overheads ni ngapi? Yes. 6,000. I think there was a typo. You can come and look at it. It's supposed to be 600. The 6,800 is the total of those three that are there. So you can see the 600 there. Yeah. And how many budget hours? Is 30,000, eh? The hours are 30,000. So when you divide, what do we get? It is? Yeah, it is Kenya shillings 20 per hour. It is 20 bob per hour. Now, if you look at the standard card, standard card data, you can see the variable overheads. What is in the brackets? 3 hours at 20 shillings. So that 20 ndio hii. So kama swali haijakupea the 20, you get it like this. Lakini kama ulikuwa umepewa like in that question, there is not using this formula because what you are looking for is already provided, but not every question will provide it. That's why I'm indicated it there. So now we can do the variances. Total. So total is standard variable overheads. Standard variable overheads. Standard variable overheads minus actual variable overheads. Standard variable overheads minus actual variable overheads. Okay. Standard variable overhead minus actual variable overheads. After all, maisha si kuangana. Is there any way it is easy? Must travel. Haya. Rudi kwa standard card. Rudi kwa standard card. Mahali wameandika variable overheads. 1 unit of the product was supposed to take as how much? 60. So utasema ni 60 multiplied by ukibia kwa additional information. I think kwa mwisho inasema the actual units produced were how many? 9,000. 9,000. So when you multiply by 9,000, you are able to know the standard variable overheads. Then you minus the actual. Angalia kwa hiyo statement ya actual. Hiyo statement ya actual, niambie the variable overheads were how much? 520,000. 520,000. $20,000. Favorable or adverse? Huh? Favorable, positive, eh? Okay, so that is favorable. Favorable. Tuende kwa expenditure. Expenditure is given as actual labor hours. Actual labor hours multiplied by VOAR. Actual labor hours multiplied by VOAR. You minus actual variable overheads. Actual variable overheads. Sasa ukiangalia hapo kwa actual results. Ukiangalia kwa actual results. The actual hours ni ngapi? 28,500 times VOAR. VOAR tulikuwa tumepata 20. minus the actual variable overheads in 520,000. $50,000. Favorable or adverse? Positive or negative? So come on, positive, that is favorable. Huyu mwingine anaitwa efficiency. So efficiency is given as standard hours you minus actual hours. Started hours minus actual hours. The difference you multiply by VOAR. Multiplied by VOAR. So sasa standard unakimbia hapo kwa standard card. Angalia hapo kwa standard card. Mahali kunalipa ama overhead. Niambie 1 unit was supposed to take how many hours? 3 hours. Kazi imeanza kuchoroka eh? 3 times utamwambia atapanda tusifunge. So wakati tumefungua ninaona hata macho yamefunguka. So times 9,000 units minus 28,500 and multiplied by 20. Aya, umepata ngapi? 30,000. Favorable advance. Advance. And now you can see if you combine this 30,000 to this 15. Inakurudisha hapa. Take you back there. Hiyo jina inaitwa idle. So idle is given as idle time multiplied by VOAR. Idle time multiplied by VOAR. Where idle time is the hours paid minus hours worked. That is how you get idle time. It is the hours you have paid your people for and the hours they worked for. The difference is the idle time. The difference is the idle time. Sasa hii swali haijatupea data that can help us substitute for this formula. So here you just get to note such that in the event you come across it, you can be able to substitute. Hiyo ingine inaitwa calendar. Calendar. So calendar is given as a budget, annual working days, budget annual working days minus actual annual working days, actual annual working days, you multiply by budget variable overhead per working day. Budget variable overhead per working day. Budget annual working days minus actual annual working days. The difference multiplied by budget variable overhead per working day. Again, the question has not supported us to substitute there. So at the end, you just take notes. Turn to the next one. Fixed overhead cost variances. Fixed overhead cost variances. Fixed overhead cost variances. So here you have the total, which is divided like this. That is how Sasa andika budget fixed overhead per unit BFOPU is equal to budget fixed overhead costs divided by budget output units. Budget fixed overhead units, BFOU, So sasa ukiangalia hapo kwa one of the additional information, you'll see where they are talking about the fixed overheads. How much are they? 14,400,000, and it is for how long? The 14 million is for how long? Annual. And our budget is for how long? The budget a month. Good. 1 year has how many months? So you must divide this by 12. You do it according to our budget. We were supposed to have how much? Then the budget was for how many units? Huh? The budget was for 800. The budget was, it is 10,000. 10,000 units, yes. So when you divide, you get an amount of how much? $120 per unit. This is per unit. Something else that you need to compute is called the fixed overhead absorption rate. Fixed overhead absorption rate, FOAR. Fixed overhead absorption rate is budget fixed overhead cost divided by budget labor hours. Divide by budget labor hours. Here 14 million, when you divide by 12, you get it's 1.2. Yeah. Then you divide by the budget labor hours, which are 30,000. These Kenya shillings 40 per hour. But then now we compute the variance. Ukianza na total. Total is given as standard fixed overheads. Standard fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. It is given as standard fixed overhead minus actual. So According to our working, 1 unit was supposed to take how much? Here to hit a BFOPU 120. I've told you many times, and I will continue telling you that I have several weeks to say that. Ukiona standard is per unit first. The first thing you do a per unit. Then we're multiplying at the actual units. So times the actual units, which are 9,000. Alafu sasa ukibia huko kwa actual. Ukibia kwa actual, uniambia the actual fixed overheads. The actual fixed overheads. 11, yeah, 1,160,000. What's the answer? 8,000. Favorable or adverse? Positive or negative? Kama ni negative, hiyo ni adverse. Because kama ni negative, kumaanisha actual kubwa kuliko standard. Actual kubwa. So if you end up spending more than what you thought, it's bad news. Huyo mwingine anaitwa expenditure. Expenditure is given as budget fixed overheads. Budget fixed overhead minus actual fixed overhead. Budget fixed overheads. According to our budget, we were to spend 1.2 million on fixed overheads. But we ended up spending 1,160,000. So what's the difference? Yeah? 40,000 favorable or adverse? Favorable, good. We spent double than what we thought we could spend. Huyo mwingine anaitwa volume. Volume is given as budget output units. Budget output units minus actual output units. You multiply by BFOPU. Kumaliza hii nikumbushe nikupea sasa hivi. Nimesahau kupea habari ya variance. Compare the question. I forget. Haya, sasa according to our budget tulifaa kutengeneza 10,000 units. But the actual results gave us 9,000 units. And according to our budget, every unit should have costed us 120. 120,000. Favorable or adverse? Adverse. You're very good. Now that it is positive, the same and different. That's good. Yeah? Oh, what? It's easier. Okay. 120. Hiyo ingine tunaitwa efficiency. Efficiency is given as standard hours. Standard hours minus actual hours. And as actual hours, you multiply by fixed overhead absorption rate. Fixed overhead absorption rate. Fixed overhead absorption rate. Sasa, standard hours, December there were 3. You multiply by 9,000 minus the actual hours. The actual equal 28,500. 28,500. Those are the actual hours. So we'll be able to see them in the question. Are you able to see them? Yeah, right now. Yeah, I'm going to see who is able to see what you're doing. Yeah. Hapo watu results tulipa hours. So kama tumeziona the whole year kwa tumepata 40 40 so that becomes what? 60,000. Is it favorable or adverse? Huh? Favorable or adverse? This is adverse. Because the actual hours are more than what we should have used. It's adverse. Capacity is given as budget hours. Budget hours minus actual hours. Budget hours minus actual hours. You multiply by FOAR. So our budget requires how many units? 10,000 units. And the hours, each taking 3 hours, 30,000. And then the units took how many hours? The actual hours. The actual hours, these for 28. 500, and the OER is 40. And the OER is 40. $60,000. Favorable or adverse? Adverse. Umeona? Okay, for those who are wondering how, why the others are saying yes. Let me ask you a question and I hope you can be able to answer correctly. When you are coming for this class, your systems were set to be here from what time to what time? 2 to 5. So you had budgeted to be here for 3 hours. Ndio? Na kama uko na mambo mengine ya kufanya, already umeipanga ianze 5, ndio? Yes. So if for some reasons we answer class at 2 and by 2:20 we can say that the class is over, how would you have reacted? That's why I said I doubt whether you'll be able to answer correctly. But you have not answered wrongly because education is a unique service. Is unique compared with other services. And some uniquenesses or differences are all the other services which we receive, we pay after the service, but education you pay before. Shule kama hii huwezi kubaliwa kuingia class kama hujalipa, ndio? Sasa lakini kwa hoteli ukienda unakula kwanza. Salon, kinyozi, si kwanza wanakupaka alafu unalipa. Yes, that's the first uniqueness of education. Number 2, it is the only service where the service receiver is happy when it is not provided. So if I cancel the class, students will be happy. But go to the salon or to the kinyozi or wherever else and they cancel the service. And more so you already have paid. You complain bitterly. So education is the only place where people rejoice when it is not offered. But unfortunately, later on, if the results are not good, they don't remember the joy they had when the lesson was cancelled. If the results are not good, nasema huyu mwalimu hakumaliza syllabus, kama sasa hivi tunamaliza syllabus. Anza kusema hujamaliza syllabus, lakini ukumbuki ile siku nilicancel lesson ukafurahi. Anyway, so that is okay. Now let's come back now. How would you have felt? Hey, let's be very practical. I know some of you even come from far away. Umekuja, after 20 minutes, the lesson is over. It is bad. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And even putting aside the cost you have incurred to come here, the problem is I'm making you now to be idle. Because kwa mipango yako, between 2 and 5, ulikuwa ukue class. Sasa nikikwambia 2:20, hakuna class imeisha. From 2:20 all the way to 5, utafanya nini? You start even now causing trouble elsewhere. Maybe kuna watu ulikuwa umewapangia ukawaambia tutapatana 5. Unaanza kuwapigia simu, can you come a little bit earlier or can I come now early? Class imeisha. Are you seeing that? If you start inconveniencing others. Ama hata kuna maybe mtu mlikuwa mkubaliana mtapatana hapa at 5:15. Na yeye hawezi kuja mapema than 5:15. Sasa class imeisha at 20. Naangalia unamwambia, can we make it another day? So those are the issues. Now, in a class like this one, now that the number of chairs is covered, that is our budget. And the number of students, that is what? Ni gani kubwa? City budget. So do you think that is good news for the school? No, because we cannot go to the landlord to mwambia sasa hizi vitu zote hazijakaliwa, so rent tunagawanya mara ngapi. No, you still pay the full rent. That's why. Haya, endelee. Tuongea tu hivyo, nimeona watu wawili wamejadiliana hivyo. Acha tuandike hivi, akiandika hata niambia hivyo. ukiona mtu akilala, I don't get food because when I was doing my MBA, I would go to class. Watu nasomea tu class nyingine huko University Nairobi, tuko karibu Kichabe. Ukifika tu hivyo, the first 20 minutes najaribu kufungua macho inakataa. Nalala. Because I've been working the whole day. Then you walk all the way from this side of town all the way to University Nairobi. Tena unatembea na huko Kichabe and you are in a hurry because umechelewa. Fika tu hivyo. Na so nikaelewa hii mapa haikuangi kabisa. So sasa mimi nikiona ukilala, I already make fun. Nitafurahi kuendelea tu. Sasa tuko kwa sales variances. Sales variances. Sales variances. We've got 20 minutes now, 1 hour, 80 minutes. So, ujipange sawa sawa, 80 more minutes. Nakwambia wewe unajileta. Wewe unajileta. So total is divided into two. We have price and volume. So volume is divided into mix and quantity. Quantity is further subdivided. Market size. Market share. So tuanze na total. Total is given as budget contribution. Budget contribution minus actual contribution. Sasa utaenda hapo juu kwa standard. The standard card. Uangalie kama wali compute the standard contribution per unit. It is how much? Huh? $680 kama 200. Is 200, eh? Okay. So 200 times the budget units, that is 10,000. That gives you the budget contribution. Then you minus the actual. So ukibia kwa hiyo table ya actual. The actual. You check whether they have computed the contribution. How much? 1340. $660. Favorable or adverse? Positive or negative? Positive. So kama ni positive, that is adverse. Kama ni positive, ni adverse because hiyo ni kumaanisha actual contribution kidogo, actual profit. If you make a smaller profit than you thought, that is adverse. Hiyo ingine taandika hivi, for operations purposes. For operations purposes. For operations purposes, price is equal to a standard contribution margin. Standard contribution margin minus actual contribution margin, you multiply by actual units sold. Standard contribution margin higher. Sasa, what we are going to do, the contribution margin here is 200, just 200. So we will open the brackets straight. When you open the brackets, you multiply by the actual units, which are 9,000. Then hapa ukifungua actual contribution margin times actual units sold is the actual contribution. 1340. $460,000. Favorable or adverse? Favorable, positive or negative? Positive here and adverse. Kumaanisha actual is smaller. Yeah, so you have made like a smaller profit. Then for profit reconciliation purposes. So there are two main reasons why we compute variances. One is operations. Operations is to be how we are performing, whether we are efficient or we are not efficient. The second reason is to reconcile, to explain why these two are different. Kama hii swali yenye tunatumia, the question is about reconciliation. Yeah. So if you are told to do reconciliation, we say price is equal to budget selling price. Budget selling price you minus actual selling price. Actual selling price you multiply by actual units sold. Sasa hii hatutaitumia saa hii, but the next thing ndio tunakuja hapo kuitumia. So tuende kwa volume. So volume is equal to budget sales units. Budget sales units minus actual sales units. Actual sales units. You multiply by standard contribution margin. Budget sales units minus actual sales units. So according to our budget, we want to make and sell 10,000 units, but we ended up selling 9,000 at a standard contribution of 200. $200,000. Favorable advance. Is advance. If you sell fewer units than the ones you got, those are bad news. You end up selling fewer units, it is bad. And you can see here, this 460, ukiongezea hii 200, they take you back to this one. And maybe what I need to say is, for the exam purposes, kama hujui kama ni advance ama ni wachane naye. Kwa mtihani, kama hujui whether it is favorable or advanced, just read it. You will still enjoy the marks. Because no one has evidence that you don't do. But ukishaandika, then we have evidence whether you know or you don't. Lakini ukishaiacha hivi, you can justify yourself time ilisha na kuandika A ama F. So in the exam, kama inakukanganya, just give it. We will mark it straight. I mean, I'm correct. I'm teaching you to write, because now you practice. In practice, you cannot be hired by a customer as a consultant. Mwambie mimi naona ni 660 lakini sijui kama nimepata kwa amani. You'll be fired. That job you cannot have it. You must tell the customer this is advanced or this is what. But for the exam, you can survive that. Daktari zingine mtu anayaana baadaye. Unaisoma baadaye hapo imepita mtihani na hiyo kama alikuwa na shida akisema unagundua the very simple things. Hiyo ingine ni mix. So mix naitwa revised mix minus actual mix. Multiply by standard contribution margin. Revised mix minus So hii ni kama tu venye tumekuwa tukifanya kwa materials na labor. But this question has not given us data that can help us compute that. So tunasonga to the next. Quantity is given as revised mix. U minus budget mix. Revised mix, U minus budget mix. You multiply by standard contribution margin. Again, even this one, we are not able to compute. Hiyo ingine tulisema inaitwa sales, not sales, market. Market size. Market size. So market size is given as actual industry sales volume minus budget industry sales volume you multiply by budget market share, you multiply by budget average contribution. Budget average contribution. So that is market size. We are looking at how big is the market. Squeeze mnasomanga hizi tunaitwa BCG, Boston Consulting Group in leadership. Zile vitu zinaitwa cash cows, the question marks, the dogs and the stars. I know a lot of SG, a lot of interest. Markets. Share. Market share is given as budget market share that is a very practical unit. Is that so? Yes, that's a unit you should even read beyond the exam, because even your personal life requires management. Is that so? Yes, very, very important. Budget market share, you divide by actual market share. You multiply by actual industry sales volume, actual industry sales volume. You multiply by budget average contribution. So those are not given in our question. You guys can give us 5 or so minutes for break. Then kuja sasa we reconcile. What about the example? 18. Example. Kwa hiyo nao maji wapo. Kwa chini. Hicho hapo. Maji ni kwa hiyo
amepozi wewe. Umepoziwa. Nipozi. Ati umbali nyingi ya pili. Ndio mwanenge. Ai.
Pia kiroka na kitu kwa mito sawa mto. Kuna wine na take record.
Eso no oye, que la música no es una cosa para tiene que ayudar. Bichota.
Haya, sasa nao tunaweza endelea. The eyes now are open. Forgetting to give you the assignment. Please sign the book. This one ya June 2013, question 2B. June 2013, question 2B. So hiyo swali utaitumia kuanzia kwa variable overheads mpaka even kwa what we are doing now. Utaitumia so we are drawing now profit reconciliation statement. Profit reconciliation statements. We have details. We have formula. We have workings. And then amount. So we always begin with the budget profit. Budget profit. So budget profit is given as budget revenue minus budget costs. That is how you can get it if it is not provided. But in this question, the budget has provided profit of how much? The budget has provided profit of how much? Eh? Of how much? Our budget. It's 800,000. Then you bring variances here. Variances. Variances. Variances, we always begin with sales price. With sales price. So tumesema when you are reconciling, it is given as budget selling price minus actual selling price. You multiply by actual units sold. So tuandika tu hivyo initials because you already have the formulas in full. The formulas are already there with us. So, the budget selling price, angalia kwa budget, 1 unit was to be sold how much? At how much? 880. And in the actual, it ended up being sold at 900. And we know that we sold 9,000 units. We sold Raymond, AUS means actual units sold. These formulas are already present in the notes. It's easy to compare to sign. Already there in the notes. So how much is it? 108,000. Is it favorable or adverse? Now see, I think a negative come and negative. Is it favorable or adverse? If you end up selling at a higher price, is that bad news or good news? I've been telling you, you look at what is it we are comparing. We are comparing the prices. So the actual price is due. So that is very good news. What should come here to charge that 1,000 instead of 22? So it will be good news. Yes, to the school. Here again, inaitwa sales volume. Sales volume. So sales volume tumesema is given as budget sales units minus actual sales units. You multiply by standard contribution margin. This one already we have computed elsewhere. Tukasema it is 10,000 minus 9,000. Standard contribution was 200. Now therefore the amount is 200,000. Is it favorable or adverse? Adverse, good. Because tumeuza fewer units. The actual ni chache. Huyo mwingine unakuja kwa materials costs. Material costs. So material tulisema unapata as standard material costs minus actual material costs. That is the formula of getting the total. Standard material costs minus actual material costs. Sasa kwa hii swali, there are two types of materials. So we will work with each on its own. Ukienda kwa standard card, you can see there is material A. So 1 unit of our product was supposed to cost us how much for material A? 1 unit of our product was supposed to cost us how much for material A? 200. Good. So 100. 100 kg material. And we are not analyzing the materials. Our context is based on the unit produced. So 200 times the units that were produced, 9,000. Alafu kibia huko kwa actual. Kibia kwa actual, niambie material A ended up with an actual cost of how much? 2090. 2090. It ended up with the cost of 290. Is it favorable or adverse? Adverse, negative, right? Yeah. So kama the actual ni kubwa kuliko standard, that is adverse. Haya, niambie ya material B. 1 unit ilifaa kuchukua how much? 150. So 150 multiplied by 9,000. Alafu kibie huko kwa ni ngapi? 14,000. 14,000. 64,000. Favorable or adverse? Adverse also. Huyo mwingine anaitwa labor costs. Labor costs. So labor cost is given as standard labor costs minus actual labor costs. Standard labor costs minus actual labor costs. Sasa angalia kwa standard card. Uniambie 1 unit ilifaa kuchukua labor cost ya how much? 270. So 270 times 9,000. That will give us the standard. Then unakibia kwa actual. Unapata each one was supposed to, rather the total amount was 27,36,000. 306,000. 306,000. Favorable or adverse? Negative, eh? Okay, adverse. Then twende kwa variable overheads. Variable overheads. So variable overhead is standard variable overheads minus actual variable overheads. Standard variable overheads minus actual variable. So here tulikuwa nayo when we said that 1 unit is costing us 60 times 9,000 units minus actual, tutakuwa tumepata 520. Yes. 20,000, which we had said it was what? Favorable. Favorable. Then tukuja kwa fixed overheads. Now fixed overhead, we start with expenditure. We start with expenditure. Expenditure, tulikuwa tumesema it is budget fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. Budget minus actual. So budget, we had earlier on gotten 1.2, actual tukapata 1160, na hivyo tukasema it was 40,000, which was favorable. Haya, hiyo ingine ni volume. So volume tulikuwa tumesema ni budget output units minus actual output units. You multiply by budget fixed overhead per unit. Now this one utaandika hivi, included only if stocks exist. So you only include it kwa swali kwa reconciliation. Kama hiyo swali iko na stocks, kama kuna opening stock kama closing stock, that's when you bring it. And you don't write zero here because it is not zero. So go to my compute. I think tukapata 60. But you only bring it here kama swali iko na opening stocks na closing stocks. So hii swali yenye tunadili nayo haina. So actually we don't even show it, but because myself I'm teaching you for the very first time, I have to put it there. So that in case you come across one that has, it will not be confusing. So finally, you get now the actual profit. The actual profit is given as actual revenue minus actual costs. Actual revenue, you minus the actual costs. So this one is already provided by the examiner. So niangalilie hapo kwa naitwaje? The actual statement. The actual statement, profit ni ngapi? 108,000. 108,000. So what you shall do, utachukua budget profit. Utachukua budget profit. You add favorable variances. You add favorable variances. You less adverse variances. Adverse variances. And that now should give you the actual profits. Kama hakuna makosa hivyo. Copy that formula. You get budget profits. Are they agree? Kuanzia hapa, weka hii, you add the favorables, you less the adverses, and you tell me whether it is agreed. So of the questions that the examiner prefers to test in this topic, video number 1 to 5, most of the questions tapata ni conclusion. Kama sasa hiyo swali ilikuwa tukijibu, this is all what the candidate was supposed to do and get. Are they 20 marks? Before 2. So this format remains. So here unaweza cram. Remains. So hiyo swali nimekuambia ya 2013. Nataka uache space. Uache space. That will be enough to do another table like this. Ni figures tutabadilisha. Hizi vitu zingine you copy exactly the way they are. Tutabadilisha tu hapa kwa workings na kwa amount. Hiyo swali tunawapea. Leave a space there when you are out. I think in June 2013. June 2013 question. After we add a space, tunasonga katika now investigation of variances. Investigation of variances. Investigation of variances. And write that this refers to the procedures undertaken. This refers to the procedures undertaken to establish the reasons. To establish the reasons behind variances. The reasons behind variances. Stop. The objective is to inform corrective actions. Inform corrective actions during the next budgeting period. During the next budgeting period. It also supports performance measurement. It also supports performance measurement. So what we have done so far, we have been able to know the various types of variances, the 5 categories. Tulianzia kwa material, tukakuja all the way to sales. Then we know the amounts, the quantities. Unajua kama hii ni 290, we even know the type. Unajua the advances and the what? The variables. But if you are to stop at this point, all what we have done will be an exercise in futility. So you need to get a little bit deeper and know why did these variances come about, so that you can be able to take corrective actions. As in, what lessons have you learned? What can you now carry forward in the next budget period? So that either if the variance was favorable, you support it to be bigger. Support it to be bigger. Like now hapa, unaona hapa walipa mingi. The selling price walitulipa mingi. So what can we do so that you can be paid 1,000 instead of 900? Yes. Kitu kama hii, you see now, this one was we sold less. So this one we need to take effort to minimize. So we start asking ourselves, what is it that we can do to ongeze hii from 9,000, at least it can be a what? Yeah. Then it also forms the basis of performance measurement. After this, the next thing that we are going to do is performance measurement. Performance measurement is an exercise where you compare the expected performance and the actual performance. And the results form the basis of punishing someone or rewarding someone. Now, those fellows who report favorable variances, they are rewarded. Those who report the adverse, they are punished. So if you want to punish someone or to reward someone, you have to get a basis. You have to get a basis. You don't just wake up one day and answer one or answer. And some of us, maybe you know this, especially at the workplaces. If mkubwa anakutafuta, one of the things they do is unaomba targets. Yeah? When you see your boss start giving you new targets, you should be very careful. They could be now looking for evidence. Upewe targets zenye hutaachieve, sasa ukuje kuambiwe tukwambia hii na hujapata. So like I know there is a bank last, I think 2019, they laid off very many people on the basis of targets. I don't want to mention names. So they just came up with targets. What were targets? They were told to sign. Now, if you don't hit the targets, you lose your job. So guys went to the field, you are below the target. So we sign your document. So now because wherever you machine was the target to the it's a courteous way of doing those things. Okay, then to the opportunity to apply. There are numerous reasons. There are numerous reasons which are broadly classified into four. Which are broadly classified into four. Number one, so we'll just mention them. One is measurement errors. Measurement errors. Number two, out of control operations. Out of control operations. Number three, use of outdated standards. Use of outdated standards. And the last one is random or uncontrollable factors. Random or uncontrollable factors. Yeah, so we have very many reasons, very many, but we group them into those four. One, measurement errors. When you are to the actuals, alifanya makosa. So hizo figures tukikuja kuweka hizi actuals, we are recording the wrong figures, so they report the variance. Number two, out of control operations. Out of control operation is where we know something is already out of control or is off track, but we are doing nothing to bring it back. The other thing is use of outdated standards. These standards, when were they set? And if you remember what we said when we were looking at learning curves, remember when someone repeats the task over and over again, the time taken gradually declines. However, not forever. Inafikanga mahali mtu akichoka, unapata now the time is even prolonged. So we need to know, is standards when they were set, have people improved since then? Or have people not improved since then? Or they have even deteriorated in terms of performance? So those are things you need to check. The last one is what we call random or the uncontrollable factors. Those are factors that are beyond. For example, when the government declares that there is a national holiday, we cannot as a school start to say, CC, your holiday at we have a syllabus to finish, the exam is coming. So hakuna holiday to Tigeria. No, you cannot do that. It is beyond your control. So we will close the school, hatutafunza na mwenye atatuuliza tutamwambia kulikuwa na nini? Holiday. And it is beyond us. Our issues to do with religious activities. Kama kesho ni Sunday. Sema tukuje hapa Sunday. Some of us will say no. Tomorrow is our worship day. Na kama destiny hatuwezi simama tuseme hatutabui Sunday as our worship what? Day. Those are things that are beyond. So such when they happen, you already take notes, but you cannot attempt even to investigate. Like now, it will just be fully of us. Kianza kuchunguza kwa nini Sunday ifanywa worship. Sunday. Why worship day? Ama wale walienda kanisani leo, because there are some of us who are not here. Kwa nini wanaombanga Saturday? Wale wanaendanga Friday, kwa nini wanaendanga Friday? Sasa hiyo haitakusaidia. You only take what? Note and you comply. Down there tuendelee, tuandike. Before undertaking an investigation, it is important to consider such factors as 1, cost involved. 1 is cost involved. Number 2, benefits. Number 3, amount, stroke size. Another one is type. Another one is pattern. Another one is reliability of the budget figures. You can even just say reliability of figures. Yeah, those are some of the things that you need to. You could even put type. There's a type. Type. T-I-M-E. Jadika? Then you are ahead of me. Sasa na kama uliandika time hapo, sasa andika time. Okay. Now, when you want to do an investigation, those are some of the things you need to check. 1, obviously, you must know how much it will cost you. And number 2, the benefits. So that you don't engage in an investigation whose benefits are so low or the cost is too high. You also need to check the pattern. The pattern is what has been happening. That's why you hear, even when people are talking, to akisema umenizoea. Kisikia mtu amekwambia umenizoea, they are saying you have been doing it na nimekuwa nimenyamaza. Now time has come. So pattern inaonyesha. Or something has been happening and you have not been keen to know what it is. But inaendelea kuja mpaka mahali unasema hey, what it is that keeps on coming. The other thing is the type. Is it favorable or adverse? Chances are, or rather, mostly, which ones do we investigate? Adverse, eh? Yeah, and that is dangerous. We should investigate both. The adverse are the ones that make you to complain. The favorables are the ones that make you to compliment. Like today alone, how many times have you complained? And how many times have you complimented someone? So the complaints are more than compliments. Na si kumaanisha leo hujafanywa mambo mzuri na watu. There are many people who have done you good things, but we normally think that we deserve it. They were supposed to do it. I'll be telling you later on. I've taught you for this long, and I know I teach you well. And I don't think anyone has ever put that to tell me when I enjoy the classes. We're discussing that in a while. It's not. Like now, these extra lessons I'm giving you on Saturday. See kawaida. Look at some other schools. I was actually even being told, watu wanafunzi wa 3 hours in a week. Nakuja mnaomba handout kama yenye nitawaletea na next week. Nakimbia kaswali kamoja tunasoma. 3 hours every subject. Mpaka kina FM 3 hours. So mimi nimewafunza hizo 2 days, tena ninawatafutilia masaa mengine huku tunakuta tunangangana hapa. They are not timetable. It's the thing, but I'm just saying a fact. Eh? So when people do something good, you need to tell them what? Thank you. Even those of us who are married, especially men, ukitumana maji uletewe hapo. You need to say thank you. Si lazima uletewe, sio? Si unaweza tumana uambiwe tatu kwa pale. Yeah. Even ladies, when you ask your husband to give you 500 na unapewa. Si lazima unaweza ambiwa hata toka nje ukatafuta pesa kwenye wengine wana. Yes. So it's always good to compliment in discussing that later on. But my point was, people generally tend to investigate their past and they ignore the favorable, but you need to investigate more. The other one is the amount or the size. What would you use the bigger or the smaller amount? The bigger amount, but that is dangerous. You should investigate the smaller. If you investigate the smaller, you avoid investigating the bigger. It is what they say in Kiswahili, unaziba nini ufa before ujenge ukuta. And you know some of these fellows who are in the companies, wanaanza kuiba tu kidogo tu. Leo anaiba 1,000, kesho 2,000, anaangalia hivyo hamna idea, hiyo siku nyingine anapita na 10. Before you know it anapita na 10 million. Mnapelekana kotini and you know what happens. Hiyo case mtapambana even for 10 years. Ndio. And they can even turn that way you create active. So you need to investigate. Then down there, the following methods are used. The following methods are used. The following methods are used. So we shall list the methods when we discuss each at a time. Number one, inaitwa simple rule of thumb. Simple rule of thumb. Number two, inaitwa statistical models. And number three, inaitwa statistical precisions. Simple rule of thumb. So let's start with the first one. Simple rule of thumb. Simple rule of thumb. And write that this is where the investigation rule is defined subjectively. Full stop. The method is simple. The method is simple to understand and use. It's simple to understand and use. However, it does not consider costs and benefits. It does not consider costs and benefits and statistical significance of the variances and statistical significance of the variances. Yeah, so that one, although I will be giving you the figures, but basically what you're saying, ni mahali unaamuka siku moja, unasema hapa kwangu sheria ni hii. You have no objective way of showing how you arrive at that sheria. That's why we call it simple rule of thumb. Let's mention the other one. Statistical model. Statistical model. either. This is where properties of normal probability distribution. Properties of normal probability distribution. Normal probability distribution are used to define the investigation rule. Are used to define the investigation rule. A graph is then drawn. A graph is then drawn which is known as statistical quality control chart. Which is known as statistical quality control chart. Quality control chart. The method recognizes statistical significance of the variances. Statistical significance of the variances. Statistical significance of the variances, but not costs and benefits. But not costs and benefits. Stop. It is based on two assumptions. It is based on two assumptions. One, the system is in control. The system is in control. And any variance noted is because of random factors. It's because of random factors. The second one is the system is actually out of control. The system is actually out of control, but a remedial action can be taken. But a remedial action can be taken. Nataka ushibie kwa hii swali. September 2015, question 3C. Naona nimebakisha 7 minutes. I hope there will be enough. But if not, nitaomba niongezee not more than 10. Not more than 10. September 2015, question 3C. Umeiona eh? So kama umeiona, hata hakuna kitu ya kusoma. And you see the 3 columns, product X, Y, and Z. Naona hizo data eh? Sasa hizo data ndio tunasema unatumia using the normal probability distribution. You get the values. Alafu ukiangalia hapo chini, can you see standard deviation? No, the average usage. The average usage of 25,000 eh? Alafu standard deviation of what? 2,500 eh? Alafu sasa tunaambiwa tutengeneze investigation rule of plus or minus 2 standard deviation eh? So tell us something like this. Plus or minus 2 standard deviation investigation rule, investigation rule, so hiyo ndio sasa inaitwa investigation rule. When I say the rule is defined, I mean those boundaries. Ndio tunajua ni region gani ya kuinvestigate, region gani ya not investigate. So we just draw it, I explain that means you know. We know from the normal distribution how to compute the mean, how to compute the standard deviation, and the confidence interval. This is an interval. Now, rule tunasema ni plus or minus 2 standard deviation. So standard deviation is 2500. So 2 times 2500 is 5000. So 5000 minus this, you have to pair 20. And 5000 plus this, you have to pair 30. So ili kumaanisha we expect kama ni material usage kawaida watu watumie 25. Lakini ukitumia mpaka 20 hatuna shida. Vile vile ukitumia up to 30 kuna shida. But if you have found that you have used less than 20, you should be called upon to explain. And if you have used more than 30, you should also explain. Oh, you already have finished. That's good. That's good. Sasa, you see, maybe I need to explain this. The fact that mtu ametumia kidogo, si kumaanisha they have done a good job. Now, like now, this semester, we were given 10 weeks to complete the syllabus. By around 22nd of this month, we should be through. So, the principal should give us an allowance, plus or minus maybe 1 or 2 weeks. Let's go for 1 week. Meaning, mtu anaweza maliza syllabus yake by 9th week, ama achelewe kidogo by 1 week amalize 11th. Lakini, so if you finish within that point, the principal should not call you to explain it. Okay. But if you go to the principal the 4th week of the semester, you should be investigated. Yes. Equally, ukirudi kwa principal mwambie hii syllabus kama saa hii because it is being checked. Mwambie sasa hii maneno ulipea mimi naona nitamaliza after 17 weeks. 17 weeks itakuwa karibu Januari. Yes. So you should also be investigated. Okay. Now I need us to design 1 more minute. So my 10 minutes will be, I hope they are granted. I want us to draw. If we angalia hizo figures, hizo figures that are given, we appear the highest and the lowest. Kama usioni, fanya hivi because I know them. Fanya hivi, tunachora graph weekly. Tumesema not more than 10 minutes. Sitaki kupita more than 10 minutes. So we are drawing a graph. Let's do the graph. A very nice graph. So this is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, this is November, and this is December. This is x-axis. X-axis quickly. Design hivyo. Then hapa hivi 1 2 3 4 5 6. So hapa weke 20 22 24 26 28 30 So that is that two. Just trying to adjust this one. That two. This is y-axis. So hii imefanywa hivi ku break because we are not running from 0 to the others. Haya, chora laini tupie hapo, nyingine ikibilie hapa kwa 20. So here it is lower limit. Lower limit. Na hii nayo ni upper limit. Upper limit. Lower limit na upper limit. So this one we are getting them from the rule. Hiyo rule tulikuwa tumechora. Tunakumbuka mahali kulikuwa na 20 na 30 Hiyo rule tumechora ya normal table. Tumefika hapo So tuanze kwa the first product x. We brought January, your first product, iko na ngapi? January 24. So mark 24 somewhere here, this way. February 26, you mark, just estimate, because now we cannot get it very accurate because the scale is so big. March 27, April 26, May 30, June 29, July 31, August 29, October 30, November 29, December 31. So you just plot them that way, then join them using a very free hand, like this. Using a very free hand. And you tell us this is X. Siko sawa? Haya, nisomee awali. Januari 26. February 23. March 24. April 25, May 26, June 26. July 27. Huyo mwingine ni August 28. Na huyu September 28. October 29. November 30. December 30 also. So sasa hii again you join using a very free hand. Alafu natuambia hiyo ni ya wa. Mbakisha 2 minutes. Naweza kuwa nimemaliza hiyo hamishi. It's just to estimate, don't be very accurate. Hii scale ni kubwa sana, huwezi kuwa accurate. You just want to see the direction. Haya, quickly nisomee ya Z January 25. Hiyo ingine iko na 24. 23 kwa somewhere here. 26 here. 23. July, June. To go June 28. July 24. August 26. Huyo mwingine September ni 25. 23, 24, and 26. That is Z. Yeah, good. It's exactly 510. So ukaambiwa ucomment, tunaona who is in control and who is out of control. In control ni mwenye ako huku ndani. If you are inside the two limits, you are said to be in control. But kama for some point umetoka nje, kama sasa hii x and y, they are out of control and we need to take a remedial measure. We need to take a remedial measure. So I think that is good. We shall pick up from there next time. Tumalizie hiyo method ya mwisho. Naona tukienda hivyo by Saturday next week we should finish this. So those who are online, I want to end the session because I was recording. Have you finished? Or once you finish, you just log out. Once you finish, you just log out so that talk not end. While our physical, once you finish, you just log out. Okay, good. Suleiman, not yet.